Hi everyone, this is Crystal, and today I am working in my Life Crafted album. This is an album I'm using just to document some random stories from this year. I am going to be documenting these 3 photos of my partner Jesse, taken on his birthday this year, and I think I'm going to add a 2-pocket page in between. So my plan is to have a full page like outside of the pocket on both the right and left, and then to add this in between to be able to get all 3 of these photos on the page. For supplies, I'm using the June kits. The July kits. It's July, it's not June. This is a combination of both the Life Crafted and the add-on kit. I kind of went through and pulled out some things that I thought might work ahead of time, just because even though this is one of the last projects I'll be creating with this kit, I still had so much left. It was starting to feel a little overwhelming to have all of it to pull from. So I just went through and pulled out some things that kind of went with the color scheme I'm thinking and with the theme of this page. So that is this mess of stuff, this big pile of stuff I have here. I'm still not entirely sure how I'm going to go about this page, so I'm just going to put you on fast forward and play around. Since I'm not really sure what direction I want this page to go in, I'm going to start by trying to find the 3x4 cards to fit into those pockets along with the photos. So I'm pulling out the 3x4 cards that I have here. There are some in the cut apart sheets as well, so I'm looking at those and just trying to figure out which ones I want to use to tell this story. And I found the one that says Wild at Heart. That's actually a 4x6 card. I really love that. I think it applies to the story I'm going to tell here. And then there were a couple other cards that had kind of the same font. One said Do Your Thing, and I felt like that was also a very appropriate sentiment here. So I'm going to go with those. And even though that's a 4x6 card, I'm just going to go ahead and trim it down to 3x4. And then I will actually use the other half of that for my journaling on one of the other pages. So it actually works out pretty perfectly. So I'm going to use those along with 2 photos in the pockets, just figuring out kind of where I want them and which photos I want to go with which sentiment, that sort of thing. Once I have that figured out, then I can start to think about what I want the 2 opposite pages to look like. So I'm thinking I want to use the 3rd photo on the left-hand side, the left-hand page, and then add the journaling on the right-hand page. That's kind of what I'm thinking right now. I'm just not sure what to use for those pages. So I pulled out this paper. This is from the scrapbook add-on. It's from Heidi Swap, and I was trying to decide between it and this black and white stripe paper. The black and white stripe felt a little bit too overwhelming, so I'm gonna end up going with the polka dot paper from Heidi Swap. And even though there's technically more blue in the cards that I've chosen than there is black in my photo, and so I felt like it acted like just a nice neutral in the background for all of the colorful things I'm about to add to this page to sit on. So because I have the Do Your Thing card on this side of my double-sided page, I'm going to stick with those colors here. So on this first page, on the left-hand page, I'm thinking I'm going to stick with kind of blues and oranges. And then because I have that blue and green Wild at Heart card on the other side, I'll stick to those colors over there. So that's kind of what I'm thinking. I do kind of experiment and see if I want to bring the colors across the pages, but I do end up keeping it kind of separate, and I end up really liking the way that it looks. So it works out really well. It took me a little bit of time to get to that point, but in the end, it comes together really nicely. So I just trimmed down that paper to the size of the page protector. Since this is not going inside a page protector, I want it to be the same size as a standard page protector in one of the Life Crafted notebooks. So that makes it 5 by 8 1/4. And then I just used the page protector that's going to go in between these 2 pages to line up where the holes need to be. Normally I would just kind of use my hole punch and center it as good as I can just by eyeing it, but because this page is going to sit right in between them, I wanted them to line up. I didn't want one of the pages to stick up above or below that page protector. So I just kind of stuck the page protector in and then pulled it away and punched the holes. Okay, so now I have my 2 pages, I have my insert, I can start building layers and getting things down where I want them. So here is where I'm kind of deciding for sure to stick to the blue and orange color scheme on this side and the green and blue color scheme on the other side. And it just so happens that there are a lot of embellishments in this kit that kind of match those 2 color schemes. So it worked out really, really well. So I'm going through the die cuts and cut aparts that I had pulled out for this spread, thinking I would be sticking to the bright colors. That's kind of what I was looking at when I first pulled things out for this layout, and finding ones that kind of match the colors that I have started to play with here. So there are those 2 banners. I'm going to end up using both of those. I do end up using one of these tickets, not both of them, but I do end up using one. And then there's a label in the same color and a couple circle die cuts as well. And just kind of playing around and seeing what will fit on this page and how I want it all to kind of work together. I did look at the chipboard pieces. There was one on here that I really wanted to use. I don't remember now what it said, but it felt really appropriate. But it was a more kind of mustardy green color, and I tried it, but it just didn't look right to me. It stood out too much. It didn't blend in with the other elements I have on the page, so I end up taking it off and just going with that circle on the photo instead. I will definitely use some of these stamps. I did look at the ephemera from the scrapbook add-on, but none of them really worked, and I thought they would all be a bit too big for these small pages. But I will use a couple of things from that Pinkfish Studio Puffy sticker set. I don't use anything from those stickers, although I try several times, but the sentiments there just didn't really go with what I was trying to, with the story I was trying to tell for this page. Okay, so I feel pretty confident in how things are going so far. I'm going to go ahead and start gluing things down. I know that I want things to be kind of off kilter a little bit, so I did not add that. I added that 3x4 card behind my photo, but I didn't do it straight. So I kind of added it at a little bit of an angle, and then added the whole thing at a bit of an angle on the page, and then I'll add this little banner at the top at an angle as well, and it'll just kind of feel like things are kind of trickling down the page. That's the look I'm trying to go for here. So just kind of falling down the page a bit in some alternating angles, small angles. We don't want it to be too crazy, but I just wanted to give it some movement down the page. So I added some foam behind that little banner. Because it's outside of a pocket, I have the freedom to add as much dimension as I choose to, which is one of the reasons I love these albums so much, because it's like a traveler's notebook, but you can add all kinds of dimension to them. So I'm going to do that here with a couple of the elements, just kind of alternating ones that are popped up on foam and ones that are stuck straight down to the page, so that Pinkfish Studio cut apart is going to go straight down to the page, and then that Wild at Heart circle die cut is going to go up on foam. So you may have noticed that I had to pull out some double-sided tape. The adhesive that I use does not want to stick to this foam, and it took me until the very end to remember that, oh yeah, I can just add adhesive to the paper and then stick the foam to that. But I didn't remember it for most of this, so I grabbed some double-sided adhesive from scrapbook.com. There's a super thin one, and then this one here is a 3/4 inch wide one, so it works really well for bigger pieces like this. And I have to apologize for being off screen a little bit. I've switched up my camera setup, and I didn't realize that I was out of frame for a portion of this video, so I apologize for that, and I will be sure to fix that for upcoming videos. So again, just sticking things down, starting with kind of the basics that I have here, and then I'll go back and figure out what else I can add in to kind of finish off this page. When I added that photo to the top pocket, it was a bit, the card behind it was a bit wider, and it had a yellow border on it, and you could see the yellow border all around it, which I definitely didn't like. It definitely didn't go with the colors I was using on this spread. So I just trimmed down that card a bit so that the photo, it would be the same size as the photo. And then I will end up adhering the two together just so that it doesn't shift and then show some of that yellow around the edge. I didn't want that to happen. So by just adding a little bit of adhesive to the back of the photo and adding it to the back side of that card, then that prevents any of that yellow from showing through as the pages get flipped and the album gets moved around. And because I did it with the top one, I went ahead and did it with the bottom one as well. It just seemed right to go ahead and do it to both of them. It's not something I normally do in my pocket pages, but for this spread, it seemed like the best way to keep it from showing the other colors on the other side of these cards. Okay, so once I have those glued together, I can start adhering things down to the other side of the page. But of course, I need to add my journaling before I do that. So I'm going to go off camera and use my typewriter to type up just a few lines of journaling on that journaling spot there. And then I can go ahead and start gluing things down. So I have just a little scrap of paper from one of the papers that were in the scrapbook kit. I think it was from Sweet Story. It's just a green and kind of a mint green polka dot, and it worked really well with the colors that were in that Wild at Heart card. So I'm going to use just a little piece of it. I didn't even trim it down. It was just the size it happened to be in my scraps from this kit, and just added it behind my journaling there. And then I'm going to do the exact same thing that I did on the left hand side and add that banner to the top on a little bit of foam, again using that double-sided tape to adhere it down. And you may also notice that my double-sided tape has seen better days. It got caught in my drawer, and yeah, it still works. It's fine, but it comes apart a bit when I try and pick it up. Oh well, no big deal. Okay, so now that I have that banner in place, I can kind of work on the rest of the elements that I want on this side of the page. And I really want to include that ticket that says Wild and Free. Clearly there is a theme here to this page. And I was just trying to work out where to add it. I thought about adding it at the top, but it looked much too top heavy compared to the other side of the page. So I'm going to repeat the same kind of idea that I did on the left-hand side and just kind of let them trickle down the page. So at different angles, and I'm going to do some stamping before I go ahead and glue these down, but that's basically where they're going to sit in the end. So I grabbed the stamp set from the Life Crafted kit, and I'm going to use the So You stamp on that blue label. And then there's a little spot in the center of that ticket that's blank that you can add stamping or journaling or the date or whatever, and I'm going to stamp another stamp from that stamp set in that spot. And I think I stamp one that just says Wild at Heart. So there's Wild at Heart several times on this page, which just makes sense, I guess, for the story that I'm telling. So I'm going to go ahead and stamp that in the center there, and I'm just using black ink. That helps tie in my journaling and the black polka dots in the background paper as well. And then once I have that stamped, I can go ahead and glue those down. So to do that, I am going to place them down, and I want that ticket to be popped up, but the label to be glued straight down. So that means I have to glue the label down first. So I lined up the ticket where I wanted it to be, then I added the adhesive to the back of that label, and I'm just going to kind of tuck it under there, and then I can go ahead and add foam to the ticket and add it to my page. And here is where I finally realized that I can add the adhesive directly to the paper and then use the other side of the foam to adhere it to the page. But yeah, better late than never, I guess. Okay, so I have that tiny little love, I think it says Love Always die cut. I try so hard to get it on this page, but it just doesn't make it. I think because it's white, it just didn't stand out enough anywhere I put it. So yeah, I will save it for another project, but I do want to add a few more embellishments here. So I'm going to go ahead and add these two clusters of hearts from the Pink for Studio puffy stickers. There was one kind of in warm tones and one in cool tones, and I thought that could not be more perfect for this page. They absolutely have to go on. So I'm going to add those to my clusters. And then I'm also going to add just a couple enamel dots to each of those clusters as well. So blue on the right-hand side and orange or yellow on, I don't remember, I think it's the orange ones that I add. Maybe it was the yellow. I can't tell from here, but the warm toned ones on the left hand side and the cool tone ones on the right hand side, and then that is it. That's the page basically all done. So came together pretty easily. I really love how it turned out. I hope that you were able to find some inspiration here for using your kits and your Life Crafted albums. If so, please do give this video a thumbs up, and if you haven't already, be sure to hit that subscribe button. We would love to have you. Thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you back here soon.